morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss pre-market video for Thursday, September 4th, 2025. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Happy Thursday, everyone. Here's a look at the ES in the daily time frame right now. Fairly narrow range heading into the RTH Open, just 28.5% of ADR, and that is just after ADP non-farm employment change came out, coming in with 54K versus a 73K forecast. We do have additional data coming out throughout the morning here. The big level to watch early on is going to be the previous session's high price. Previous session's high price right there and into the previous month's close price, that black dot right there. That zone is going to be very important. That's the trap zone. If bears can't push beyond that zone, or if they fail at 64s here, the previous session's high, that could open up a return back to the previous session's midpoint and perhaps an outside day down as well. Do we develop a two-day trading range here? Do we break out from this inside day relationship? The initial thought was that we have a very good shot to break out from this inside day relationship and get ourselves a good trend day scenario, a high range day, perhaps somewhere in the 80 to 100 point zone today, if we can get out of this range. As of right now, again, any failure at the previous session's high and we could be trapping back toward the previous session's low, that could give us a two-day trading range, a mild outside day down. But if we break out through those lows, it could open it up to the downside. We can push through 64.80. It opens up some upside here. So that level is going to be very, very important right now to continue to watch. Previous session's high, 64.25. Keep an eye on that zone very, very closely here. Overall, we're still in the range at these highs. We still haven't really seen any significant breakout movement just yet. The weakness we saw here has been maintained or within the range overall, so we haven't really gotten any movement outside this range. We're still trending up on the long term, so everything is still kind of working higher until failure occurs. A major market structure failure occurs at 63.80, which is the previous month's midpoint there. You fail here and you open up some downside. So we have basically anywhere between 63.75 and 65.25 here, 65.25, where we could trade back and forth in here, building energy for the next major move. All right, looking at the NQ, similar price action here. This one's lingering near the previous session's high as well. That's the key level to watch. Two-day highs above the previous session's high. Bears trying to keep that area offered for a rotation back into 23.3, the previous session's low. If you can push through that level, you may have a stop run day down that develops. You push through the 550 highs, can we open up some upside toward 23.8? So today, if we do get a high range day, looking for 400 to 500 points of range, but again, can we get expansion out of this range here today, or does the market need to wait for NFP report? NFP report is Friday morning. Perhaps that could drive expansion out of this range. But inside days relationship at the previous session's high, bears trying to keep that previous session's high for a rotation back to the previous session's low. That would give us a two-day range. If we get outside this range, it opens up some directional conviction. Looking at crude oil. Crude here continuing to trade within the range here, 62 to 65. You have this compression of range. You kind of have that rounded bottom look and feel here developing, very clear resistance across the highs. At some point, is this thing going to be able to lift? I've been talking about the potential lift since back here, then again in here, then again on that day, and we just haven't seen the lift come. Again, this is enough energy to really open up a move back towards 70 or even 72. But the next rally that happens could be the last rally that happens before the end of the year. Seasonally speaking, we're coming into a window here where it's right here. The first week in October can tend to be the high of Q4 for crude oil before we drop into about the middle of December. So where is the high going to come in? Is it going to be up here? Is it going to be here? Do we get way up here? How high do we go before we start the rotation down? And any rally here over the course of the next 3, 4, or even 5 weeks, if we get a rally or a pop, could be the last one again before we drop into mid-December. So any pop here could be a selling opportunity and could be short-lived. So don't fall in love with the upside, even if we get a bit of a rally. All right, looking at gold futures. This one right now down a bit on the day, but still up overall. This was a big-time breakout move. That day was a massive transition day through the 3,500 level. We've now gotten 140 points into the upper price structure here, which has never been tested. And again, that back end right here is about a 500 point back end. This is multiple months of development here to break through 3,500. That would suggest a continuation toward 3,900 to 4,000 down the road. Any pullback could still be a buying opportunity until proven otherwise. So this thing is looking rather strong right now. Now, a failure to hold 3,500 overall would result in some correction. So even if we pull back and hold, and then fail, that could open up a rotation back down. But as of right now, this market is looking very bullish. That looks like a very, very solid transitional move through the top of that large 500 point pattern. Now, in order to go get those 400 to 500 points of range, you need to see perhaps multiple months here to go get it. It doesn't have to necessarily be that long. This right here was a 500 point move, a little bit more, and it only took a couple of weeks. So it doesn't necessarily have to take that long, but because this is a buildup of energy over the course of months, you could give it several months to go work and get that target, as long as we stay above 3,500 for the most part. All right, looking at the YM. Here's the YM. Again, the previous session's high, the big level to watch here. We haven't quite gotten there just yet. That would be about the 45.4 level. That's the zone we were looking for a trap back down toward 45K. That would be a 400 point move. Do we get a breakout from yesterday's inside day range though, or is this going to be a buildup, a 2-day buildup ahead of NFP report tomorrow? Still something to continue to watch here. But 45.4, big time zone right here, a failure here, and you're rotating back down. You fell through these lows and you could open up quite a bit of downside up ahead. So 45K still the big level there. If we're failing through 45K, it will be a stop run day at some point, whether it's today, tomorrow, whenever it may develop. All right, looking at Bitcoin, down 1.2% right now. This one has been on the way down, and no matter the bounce, we've seen another round of selling pressure. This thing hasn't really been able to get a ton of lift off 110K just yet, but it is honoring that zone overall, just hasn't really gotten that lift. It still looks a little lazy here. We could still see a little bit more steady downtrend, perhaps even as deep as 100,000, and recent support here. Not anticipating this thing just turning around and rallying just yet, but any push through, say, the 115 zone, 117 really starts to open up the upside. So keeping an eye on Bitcoin down here as this thing continues to test the 110 zone. ETH was up 5% the previous session, and it didn't look super bullish. You know, it wasn't our normal 5% rally in ETH, even though this thing remains highly bullish. Very clear bullish trending structure. We've been here sideways for a good several weeks. Do we start to see that upward rotation again to new highs? We have enough juice in here. That's enough compression to really open up the next wave up. But is this thing ready? Or is this a strong top right here? Is that a strong blow off top at 48.80? I've mentioned before, I felt like we just needed to go ahead and take out new all-time highs beyond that 4,900, and we haven't quite yet. So do we go get that now? 4,900 to 5,000. Otherwise, a failure here, 4160, and you're opening up some more downside here. So 4160, very important. 4,000 in general, just very important here for this one. It's hanging in there just barely right now. Do we get a positive rotation to the upside, or do we start to break? This market remains strong overall, but we're right near all-time highs. How will the market respond if we see new all-time highs? Is it a profit-taking opportunity, or do we bust through? So keeping an eye on this zone here. Keeping an eye on 4,200, 4,000 in general here. That zone should lead to a bit of a bounce. You fail there, and you're opening a broader pullback. So keeping an eye on that zone in ETH. All right, that is it for now. We'll see how this plays out here heading into the rest of the session. Good luck, trade well, and I'll see you in the trading room. Take care.